So we're going to change the rear springs now because the rear spring has snapped on this side, so we're going to put a pair on so we can get it through an MOT next week. Need an 18 spanner, not a 19. Try using the right spanner. Don't know if we need it, but I have put a stand under the arm. Most cars you don't, but some you do. Yeah, not going to need it, but it does help to get the arm back in, to get the bolt back in. And I'm thankful that the bolt wasn't seized. As you can see, snapped to coil off the top. As I say, we're putting a pair of springs on this. Just get some crustiness out. Oh, in fact, a piece of the bottom part of the spring had also broken off. So it's a good job we're changing these. Get some of the muck out. Get the spring seated. So now I'm going to use the stand just to bring the arm up level, so it's in the right position to get the bolt back in. You don't need this stand, but it does make the job that a little bit easier for lining up, getting your bolt in. Get the nut. It's an 18mm nut and a 19, or is it an 18 on this end as well? Yep, it's an 18, that's why the socket was stuck. So we'll swap the 19 for an 18. And what I'm going to do with this is simulate some weight on the vehicle by pushing the arm up to a slightly higher position so that we're not putting tension on this bush. We're now going to do the same for this side. This side spring isn't broken, but you should always replace springs in pairs. And in fact, I was wrong. This spring is broken. The bottom had snapped off. So it's a good job that we're replacing this one as well. Bottom coil. I'll get the spring sat where it should be. And same with the top. And then just lower this a little bit. And then push this up again to get the bolt in. So nice easy job changing the rear springs on the rear of an Audi A3. That'll go in. And again, I'm going to push the arm up slightly so that we don't put tension on this bush. I know it's suspension, but I always like to just make sure that they're on 110 Newton meters minimum. That's both sides checked off. There we go. I always like to mark off the bolts once they're tight with a paint pen. It's just very easy at a later date to see if anything's moved. And you mark them off once you've torqued them up. So that's peace of mind as well, that you know you've done everything. Lower this stand back down now. You can see we've got new coil springs on both sides now. Both of them were broken, so it's a good job we've changed those. And we've got as nice new brakes we did the other day. So the rear now is more or less finished. I have just got to put a few bolts and securing screws onto, and some repair washers onto the heat shield above the exhaust, because that is hanging down. So we're going to secure that back up so it doesn't get mentioned on the MOT. I believe it's only an advisory, but there's a good chance they'll mention it otherwise. So these are just the right size to turn up the thread, and using one of these washers we'll be able to secure the heat shield back in place. So first of all, you have to pull the old fixings down and then grip this in the end of the pliers. Push the washer up and over and then use the pliers to turn that up the thread. If you look up there now, you can see that we've removed what would be one of those, it's like a plastic circle with some metal tabs in that rot away. And what we've done is replaced it with a repair washer, and we've turned one of those screw clips on underneath. And we'll put a little bit of grease around the bottom to stop anything else rotting, and that will hold it up nicely. There is actually a 13mm at this side that holds this side of it up. I'm going to see if we can get that out, and we'll put a repair washer on this as well. Yep, so that bolt's come down. Put a little bit of grease on it to go back up. And we'll also get a large repair washer. And this will help to hold up the heat shield. There we go, that's starting to be secure now as well. On this one, I'm going to try and use a larger repair washer. And then again, start this on the threads. It's not always easy because the threads are generally a little bit rusty and corroded, but that one has started nice. And again, if you go to a dealership, they will want a lot of money for a heat shield or to replace a heat shield. Some people say you can take them off. I prefer not to, because obviously they're on there for a reason. And this is a good solid fix. You can see now that this is held up. Just need to check the other ones and see if any of the other ones are loose, which they are. Got one more to do at this side. So, you have to remove the plastic cap that's there, which is part of the rotted clip. And go and get another one of the larger washers. And look to turn this on again. A little bit fiddly, there's not much room. If you can get the washer over and get the clip started. Ooh. Which they're normally just long enough to get the clip started, and then once you've got it started, you turn it up and the grip quite tightly. So again, that one is now tight. The whole heat shield looks to be secure. We've got one there, one there, one there, and that one has still got its legs. So I'll try and show you. That one is what an OEM one looks like. It's got metal legs that grip on. I think they're only tin coated, so they do rot away and fall away. So we just replace them with a repair washer and a clip, which we've got 2 on the front. We've put 1 on the 13mm bolt on the end, then we've got 1 there. And that one doesn't need replacing because that one's still holding. So that's another job done. So it's now time to put the rear wheels back on, and then the rear is finished. Been very careful not to mark the freshly coated wheels. That'll be the last thing we want to do. What we're actually going to do on these is put the new locking wheel nut on. So as we have got nice new wheels, we're going to put some new Magard black locking wheel nuts on, because we have got some caps to put on the wheel nuts, which we're going to put on when it's all done. These obviously look a bit fresher. Again, being very careful with the wheel not to mark the wheel or the calipers. I'm actually fairly torn on whether I want to sell or keep this when it's done. It's not going to be worth a terrible amount of money, and it's possibly worth more to me as a spare vehicle. I will get shouted at from the missus, so she says I don't need another spare vehicle. But us men always like a spare vehicle. And we torque the wheels up to 120 Newton meters. We all like a satisfying click from a torque wrench. I'm going to do the other side. And then, as we say, the rear is finished. Some more satisfying torque wrench clicks. That's all the rear's torqued up. And what we'll do now is just put the new lockers on the front as well. So the thread's a little bit tight on this locking nut, so what I'm going to do is just run a tap down before we put the new locking nut in. It's not being cross-threaded, it's just corrosion that's got into the old nuts. I'm going to do this on all of the nuts on the front when we do the front brakes to make sure everything's as it should be. But for now I'll just do the lockers that we're putting in. That's now gone in nicely. And again, torqued up to 120 Newton meters. Just this side to do now. We have currently got the battery on charge as well, because it's been stood for a while. Just need the key for the old locker. and the new locking nut. That one I don't believe needs a tap, but I'm going to run the tap anyway because we don't want to damage any threads on the new locking nuts. The holes come straight through at the back, so just blow it through. And then the new black locking nut in. And then again, torque up to 120 Newton meters. Another satisfying click. And back the torque wrench off. You should never leave your torque wrench set to a torque because it can stretch the spring and then give you results that are not quite what they should be. So, another evening's work finished on the Audi. Got a fair bit of work done. As you can see, the locking nuts look a lot better. So now we've finished working on the rear. We've put the caps on the nuts, so we've got new black locking wheel nuts, new black caps. Makes a whole world of difference. It's little touches like that that I think can finish a car and make it look a lot nicer. As you've watched us do earlier in the video, we've got the new rear springs on and we've put the repair washers on to hold the heat shield up, which makes a big difference so you haven't got a rattle on the top of your exhaust. We've now got a service left to do, so we've got a pile of service bits here. It's going to be a full service. Air filter, oil, fuel filter, cabin filter, and obviously put a new sump plug in. And also we're going to be reconditioning the front calipers because they're looking a little bit crusty. The discs are okay, but we are going to blast the discs in the media blaster and paint the centres and the edges silver so that they match the rear. We'll obviously put the caps on the wheels as well. The calipers will look nice and pretty. The discs and pads we did for the customer not long before we bought it, so they're in good condition. I think we might have just put pads in fact, because the discs have got a slight lip, but it's only minor. So the brakes will all be in excellent condition. We also, in the 12 months prior to us buying this, we also put a pair of front arms on it. So it's had bottom arms and the alignment done. And we've also put a DPF on it a while ago. And then obviously we've done the clutch and flywheel recently when we've bought it. And we've also put the starter motor on it. So it's had lots of work and lots of replacement parts, all the service stuff. The thing to worry about on an old car like this with high mileage would be the clutch and flywheel, which is an expensive repair. But as it is, we've got all that done. And then we've even done the finishing touches like the wheels recoating. We're going to do some bits of paint work on it to tidy that up. We're going to polish the whole car first and see how it all comes up. It is an old car. It has got 177,000 on the clock. So I'm not going to put the time and money into doing a full repaint on it. It just wouldn't be worth it to sell. But for what it is, it's going to be an excellent car for somebody to buy. If anybody's going to be interested in buying this when it's done, like I say, I'm half tempted to keep it myself as a spare vehicle, but I'll get shouted at home for that. So it will more than likely be going up for sale. It'll have a full 12-month MOT on it, and obviously you can see through the videos all the work it's had done. When it's been all polished up, I can guarantee it's going to look amazing. For a car that's going to be worth £2.5 grand, it's going to be a good buy. It's going to have had a lot of work done. I'm not going to make much profit on it. I'll make a little bit, but this was more of a car to do for our YouTube channel. So I'm just happy to restore the car and get it back on the road. It'll go again for a number of years now for somebody, and it'll be a great little vehicle. So we've found, while we've been moving the car in the dark tonight, that we've got an issue with the rear light on the driver's side. The inner one doesn't come on. As you can see, left hand side, the LED bars are on in both lights, and on the right hand side, only the outer one is on. Now if you start the engine, the inner one does come on, but dimmer. So I think, potentially, we've got a broken wire going into the boot that's causing a bad earth or low voltage or something. So what we're going to do is have a quick look at that and see if we can find the issue. So after doing some testing, I've determined we have a faulty right rear light. I took it out the other day and cleaned some contacts up on it which run the LEDs, and the outer one started working again and the inner one stopped. Now what I've done at the minute, I've bridged the inner from the other side to that side, and it works. So we know that light's fine. If we take my bridging wire out, you can see the inner one's not working. It's difficult to show here, but if I wiggle the connections, you can see the inner one comes on if I remove the connection for the outer and the switch, but they both won't run at the same time. After some testing today, we've figured out that it's this light. So I've ordered a new unit to come on Monday, so it'll have a new light in. If you basically connect the light so the outer LED works on the outer one, turns the inner one off. And I believe it's down to water ingress, because we cleaned a connection up which made the outer one work again, but in turn turned the inner one off. We've disconnected the outer one again by snipping the wire that runs the inner LED on the outer light, and it works. So we know that that light's okay. This light is the one with a fault in it. It's the circuit board in the bottom that's got water on it, and I believe that has damaged the circuit board, which is stopping that from running. So we'll have the new light in it on Monday, and that should cure that as well. It's great that we're now coming to the end of the project. We will be doing another couple of videos. Obviously we need to service the vehicle, do the front brakes, and also give it a full machine polish and then get it MOT'd. What we will do is we'll go through the front brake reconditioning, and we'll also do the servicing. We'll do a bit of video for the polishing side of things as well, but the front brakes and the service will be on a video, and then the machine polishing, finishing off, making it look pretty, putting the new number plates on, that'll be on another video. If any of us subscribers or viewers are interested in buying the vehicle, drop me a message, it'll save me advertising it. And it'll also keep our lass happy because she says I have to sell it.